Um, I am excited to continue on with some of our series here of having some LaunchX alum come on and share a little bit about their entrepreneurial journeys, their experience with LaunchX, but then especially sharing some of the cool stuff that they're doing with startups since LaunchX. So I have Aziz on here today, and excited to have him share a little bit about his entrepreneurial experience. So I guess let's get started. Aziz, first, I guess, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Aziz Hanafi. I'm 16 years old. I'm from Tunisia, and I'm a LaunchX alumni. And hopefully today I'm going to be sharing my experience at LaunchX and my experience and my entrepreneurial journey in general.
Great, awesome. Yeah, so I guess to start off, I mean, we have a lot of folks that are also high schoolers interested in entrepreneurship. And I get like, what initially got you excited and interested in entrepreneurship?
Okay, so at first, like since my early teens, I have applied myself in testing my creativity through the modern world of technology. And I really loved creating small robotic devices. I was really passionate about inventing and creating problems through both my hardware and software skills. My first science fair participation was at the age of 12, and I really participated not for the competition, but rather for meeting people that share the same passion about technology and learning from each other. So I was presenting my small robots, my small project to the judges, and at the end of the science fair, during the ceremony, I got the first prize. So this event really motivated me, and since that moment, I started working on innovative problem-solving projects in order to make a positive impact. Now, I don't miss any opportunity to participate in major robotic competitions, technology, or science fairs, because I think that the more you invest in effort, the more you'll get rewarded. Finally, like my participations in STM competitions and science fairs and all these events have really helped me develop leadership skills and build my confidence.
Awesome. Yeah, so had like a love for, it sounds like, technology and innovation. And yeah, I know I started also with like the technology, innovation, engineering side of things as well. And then like, I guess, how did that end up evolving a little bit more into like entrepreneurship? Because I know like we actually have a lot of people, you know, in LaunchX that are, I guess, more like technology side of things. How did that end up evolving a little bit more the startup side?
So like the startup side, like, do you want me to talk about the startup startup that I started, or?
Oh, or like, I guess, how did you end up kind of taking that interest and love for technology and realizing that you could apply that within entrepreneurship?
Yeah, okay. So at first, like I was, as I said, like at the age of 12, I was really passionate about technology, and I really like started building small devices and small robots. I got like my first package of Lego. I started like building robots with Lego Mindstorms, and it was really like inspiring. And I really like didn't want to build robots just for building robots, but I really wanted like to build robots in order to make an impact, in order like to affect people's lives. So I started like participating in these science fairs, and they encouraged me to start solving problems, because that's the most important thing I think in entrepreneurship. It's like problem solving. And like when I got into like thinking critically and solving problems, I was really interested in entrepreneurship, and I started using my skill. I started like seeing my technological skill as somewhat a superpower in order to use it and solve problems and make a difference and make an impact positively. And of course, like when I say making a difference, I say that like it can be even making a difference in the smallest communities, or of course to the world.
Yeah, and I think that like bringing it out to communities is the key part about entrepreneurship, right? And I think we talk about that in LaunchX, right? It's like entrepreneurship is where innovation meets like commercialization, like getting it out to people, right? So that like bringing it out to communities, I think, is a really important piece that you touched on. And like of that, or I guess like tell me a little bit about your experience then at LaunchX, because then like I guess that was the early stages, the science fairs and everything, and then that kind of brought you towards LaunchX. So we can talk about that, and then excited to hear about the startup you're working on after that. But we'll start with that LaunchX experience.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Like personally, LaunchX was a life-changing experience. It has not only taught me like numerous entrepreneurial and leadership skills, but it has also broadened my spirit and allowed me to develop a great ability to acquire like different aspects of life. Like in LaunchX, apart from all the amazing things I learned about entrepreneurship and leadership, I had the biggest opportunity to meet like-minded peers and work with like-minded peers from all around the world. And all of these peers, like all of the students that I met at LaunchX, had one purpose in mind, which is making a difference. And that's like what makes LaunchX an amazing program. LaunchX also allowed me to have a network of people from different countries, as I said. And I think that LaunchX has definitely made me a better entrepreneur, ready to tackle major problems.
Yeah, and right now you are tackling a major problem. So tell us about the startup you're working on right now.
Okay, sure. So the startup I'm working on is like, of course, I created a lot of software as well as hardware projects before that can be commercialized. But the main startup I'm working on right now is called Smart Car Steering Wheel. So today I realized that a huge number of car crashes are occurring due to drowsy driving, loss of consciousness, health problems, and drunk driving. I was really sad about that and wanted to find a solution to this problem. That's why I created Smart Car Steering Wheel, which is a system, which is like a smart steering wheel equipped with different sensors, and it is capable of reading the driver's real-time health state. And in case of an emergency, in case the system is going to detect an emergency, it's going to safely stop the car and send a message to the emergencies containing the driver's GPS location and emergency type.
Yeah, and I mean, absolutely, like the way you share that is a huge problem that exists right now. And I mean, how did you decide on this problem as being the one to solve? I mean, like what compelled you to choose this one?
Yeah, so like as I said, I usually like when I try to create an invention or a project, I usually try to find a reason, and like I usually try to find a problem, because I usually in entrepreneurship I always see problems as opportunities to not only impact positively people's lives, but also like to start a business, which is like, so I usually see these problems as opportunities. And I saw like this huge problem, which is like car crashes and all these reasons of car crashes. And I try to find, to think critically and find a solution to that problem. And I think like car accidents and car crashes are like causing a lot of deaths today. And it's a huge problem. And also an opportunity for me to create a project that is solving that problem. And I also want to add like, for this project that I am working with an international automobile company now in order to test the system in simulated cars, because investors insisted me to test it in simulated cars. And so I'm working with an international automobile company working with cars, and I'm testing it in simulated cars so that it can actually be commercialized and have an impact in the world.
Yeah, and I'm curious to hear a little bit more about your progress, because I know you've been doing a lot of testing. You've also been doing like fundraising, different things like that. So I'm curious to hear about like how you tell a little bit more about progress on a few different fronts of it, because I know from like partnerships, prototyping, everything, we can go through each of those different facets, and maybe one of them first to think about is, I mean, how you even thought about the market landscape. Because that might be something that a few people are, in the audience thinking about, because as we think about the future of cars, there's also a lot of things to think about. And I think you're starting to address that some with your partnerships, right? But as we think about the future of where cars are going, some people might even be thinking about like, oh, well, how would this play out with things like, self-driving cars, or like, you know, the fact that some cars have different technologies already built into them that are helping, you know, from like swaying in lanes or different things like that. So I imagine that you've been starting to think about how this fits into the current automotive technology landscape. So if you want to share first how you thought about how it fits into the landscape, but then also, you know, how that helped you think about the partnerships.
Yeah, like a very important point, as you said, is like today, like the world is going through like to self-driving cars, and I thought about it at first when I was gonna create a project, and like if there are self-driving cars, I mean, there's less risk of making an accident. If the driver is gonna lose consciousness or fall asleep, the car is gonna stop automatically already because it's self-driving. But like when I thought about it more, it's like self-driving cars today, like way more people are using normal cars than self-driving cars, and it's gonna be like the same for for uh, for that for a lot of years now. A lot of people are gonna still be using normal cars, and the transition from normal cars to autonomous cars is gonna take a lot of years. And like in order, I really wanted to create this project for this period of time because a lot of people are not using self-driving cars now. And about the progress of this project, so at first, like when I started, it was just an idea, it was a concept, of course, with a plan. And then we took that concept, we took that idea, and we transformed it into a prototype, a mock-up, I would say. And then from that mock-up, we created a prototype that can be tested on real people. And as I said, like now, the main progress is that I could like cooperate with an international automobile company, and it's a company that works with cars and all the IT that is related to cars. And I'm working with that company now. It's offering its support and help and assistance during the process of the testing, and hopefully it's going to help me also to commercialize the project.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and I agree that it's still going to be like a long time frame until we get to a lot of those types of technologies that that would limit the use of this. So there needs to be better solutions in the meantime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fantastic that that you have some of the let's see here, and hold on, I think we have the wrong person joining here. Sorry about that. So let's see here. So you mentioned a little bit about some of the prototyping and starting the testing that you've been starting to do. And I think you had told me before that you're also starting to do a bit of fundraising as well. So you started to do like a seed round. So can you tell us a little bit about that, about the fundraising you've been doing? Because I know that a lot of people are probably curious about that, and I know that a lot of launchies have like maybe wanting to do fundraising, so might be curious strategies about how to go about that. So perhaps, you know, even just some tips and advice you might have for people who might be venturing out to be doing some fundraising.
Yeah, sure. So for fundraising, I think that at first, when you are seeking for funding, you need to have an innovative idea, an innovative project that is solving a problem, and there has to be a need. Second, like I think it's really, really important to have a prototype, because you have to show them the prototype and show them that has been tested, and of course show them that this project can make a difference, and at the same time be profitable. So that it's like making a difference, it's making a positive impact, but it's also at the same time profitable. A very also important point is that you need to have a very good team with different skills, because it's really important. At first, like at the beginning, I started working alone. I thought that I could do everything on my own, but it was a very big mistake, because it's very hard to work on a project on your own. You always need a team so that you can share the ideas and share the tasks and share your skills. Also, investors, also like you need to know that investors invest in people. So like you need to show them as a person that you are passionate about your idea and you are a perseverant person. You're gonna work hard for it. And like specifically for me personally, I think like at first I do not focus on making money at first. I focus on solving a problem, but I know that money will follow after. I know that like if I solve a problem, I know that money will follow if I impact positively people's lives.
Yeah, and that's like excellent points for sure. I know that's even, you know, something like some things that we talk about during launch, right? Like that, and you know, that's why we bring together people with those complementary skills and refer to the different entrepreneurial types and such. And then, yeah, why we focus so much on, you know, solving a real problem and like laying that foundation during the first few weeks of the program. Yeah, and let's see here. I know you you mentioned that you kind of like laid some initial groundwork foundation of fundraising, and then are you doing some additional fundraising now, or kind of like where are you in that stage of things?
So at first I started like for seed funding with angel investors that helped me like raise a little bit of funds in order to create the prototype, the first version of the product. But then when I started like looking for real and like for investors to raise money, like a lot of investors insisted because it's like a very I mean, I would say there's a lot of risk in this project, and a lot of investors insisted me that I should test it in a real car and in a simulated car. So what I did is I like took the prototype and started searching for automobile companies that I could cooperate with. I thought I pitched a project with these automobile companies, and like one of them, which is a very like it's an international automobile company, and like it's accepted to start helping me and supporting through the process. And now I'm working on the testing of the system on simulated cars, so that I can have like tests on real cars, and of course I will go like for investors after that, hopefully for the commercialization of the product.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, sounds like really exciting progress. I know I'm excited to excited for the continued progress. I know I love cars in general, and especially different products that pertain to cars. So this is exciting to see the continuation of it. And curious also, I mean, startups change so much from the beginning of when they're an idea until well, and until wherever we are in the process, and then especially until they get to market. So how has yours changed from kind of the beginning idea stage to where it is now, or has it changed?
So like the process from the beginning idea to now. Okay.
Yeah.
So at first, the idea, like at first it came as an idea, like I just like was reading the news, reading articles about car crashes, car accidents, and also like this project specifically is related to a personal story, because one day one of the closest members to my family, he was driving in a highway, and he had a very and he lost consciousness. He had a heart attack, and a huge accident occurred in the highway. And so the emergencies arrived late to the accident, and he unfortunately died. And like when he lost consciousness during the heart attack, the car drifted from all the sides, and it also hit other cars, which affected other drivers. And like this specific personal story like affected me, and but this is like that's not the point, because a lot of people, like thousands of people, are dying from the same reason. So that's why I started doing a lot of research after that, and I created this project, which hopefully is gonna stop the car crashes from these reasons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, and I guess what are the hopes that you have going forward for your startup, and for your entrepreneurial journey in general?
Yeah. So my dream in the future is to become an entrepreneur, of course, and use my skills, use my technological skills to solve the world's biggest problems using technology, because like I want to make a difference. I know that sometimes it isn't easy, but I also know like I have to be perseverant, and I never have to give up. And of course, like when I say I want to make a difference, like sometimes it can be a difference from the smallest communities to the world. But as long as I'm making a difference and impacting positively people's lives, that's the most important thing in entrepreneurship, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, if you were to give some pieces of advice to other young entrepreneurs out there, what advice would you give them?
Some advice.
Yeah.
Okay, so for aspiring young entrepreneurs, I would just like to say that I think that time is one of the most precious commodity on earth. So I would say that please do not waste your time. Take advantage of every second of your life to learn, create, expand, and innovate. There's a proverb that says the greatest successes comes from having the freedom to fail. So do not think that failure is something bad because we learn from our failures, we learn from our mistakes. Another advice I would say, like, if you are working on a project or anything, know that ideas at first they do not come out fully formed. Like at first, when you have an idea, it doesn't come out fully formed, but they only become clear as you work on them through time. Like the most important thing is that you just have to get started on your idea. And finally, like motivation can carry us far even when we imagine unattainable. So you have to be motivated by what you are doing and have a passion for it.
Absolutely great advice. I know just taking that first step is often the hardest, and then, yeah, getting yourself motivated, continuing from there, and just, yeah, like that's fantastic advice. I love it. Yeah, thank you so much for joining. I am so excited to hear your fantastic progress with the steering wheel. It's going to do great work. And I know you are going to continue to do amazing work with technology, hardware, software, and in entrepreneurship in the startup world. It's been awesome catching up. I know it's the startup is going to do great things as well as you. So with that, I think that covers some of the updates we have here on your entrepreneurial journey, your startup journey from here. And thank you all so much for joining us here today. And we'll be posting this as well to YouTube, so you'll be able to see it there in the weeks to come as well. So thank you so much, everyone.